Tanner McKee takes the Philadelphia Eagles to their final victory in their last home game of the regular season of the 2024 NFL season. And we now have the Green Bay Packers coming up in Wild Card Weekend. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Philly Sports Now, a Philly fan podcast. My name is Zach. With me is Andrew, and we're back to talk all things Philly sports. Now that the regular season is over, the NFL has solidified its playoff picture, which ended with Sunday Night Football. You had the meaningful Detroit Lion game against the Minnesota Vikings, which I'm just going to say real quick, not really afraid of the Vikings. Just throwing that one out there. We have plenty of Philly sports to talk first, but just not afraid of the Vikings. I don't think they go very far. However, the Lions. I think I saw. I I watched a bunch of the game, not a lot of the game, but I was watching the game and I saw someone get hurt from the Lions team, and the amount of injuries on that team going into this playoff picture, and they're still just absolutely the favorite as they should be to win. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how good they are. Um, but yeah, so the playoff picture is set, and the NFC we have the Eagles going against the Green Bay Packers. I think it was 4:30 this coming Sunday. I like the time slot. I like I don't think there's a 1 o'clock game on Sunday, so that's fine with me. I'd rather there is. Okay, so I'm wrong. Um, I don't know. I'm all right with the 4:30. I don't need it to be a Sunday night thing. Playoffs, like I like well, actually, I'm not a huge fan of night football anymore because I'm old. But like, I like Sunday night football. But like for the playoffs, it's like I don't need that tense tension going into the night, so that at midnight, if that God forbid they lose, then I can't sleep at all that night now because my heart is racing so high. Like I don't need that. So give me the 4:30 game. Give me a I'm not going to say an easy win against the Packers, but I do think the more I'm looking at it, the less worried I am. And I'm actually doing the greatest Philadelphia mistake, Andrew, which is overlooking this game. I am afraid of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I digress. Let's back it up a little bit. We'll get into it. You always do. The New York Giants got spanked by the Eagles. I mean, score wise, it wasn't really a spanking, but was it really ever a game? I watched it. I assume you watched it as well, but like
Yeah.
it really wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, Tanner McKee played. McKee looked great. He had 269 yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Are you kidding me? That's awesome for a third string quarterback. His second appearance at the plate. What are we like? That's great. I thought it was a good game. Disappointment, of course. Barkley doesn't play, but they're keeping everyone healthy. And going into the playoffs, we do have a healthy picture, minus one starting quarterback. Now, Andrew, I'm basically just gonna throw it to you. Your thoughts on this game, if there's anything big you want to talk about, but I overall I'm just ready to talk playoffs.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we've been waiting for the playoffs for a long time now since the Eagles went on their giant win streak. I think, it was Lions were always that favorite to get the 1 seed. So I think it was kind of like, let's just get to the playoffs and see where we stand. So I'm with you. I'm ready to talk playoffs. But yeah, to your point, real quick, but McKee did look good. Especially, I mean, you think about it, he's throwing the backups. I mean, backup offensive line, backup wide receivers are in. I mean, and he was still able to put up those numbers, which is a good sign. Obviously, Giants are who they are. And obviously not a tough opponent there on the other side. So you like to see him do take advantage of that. I will say, and maybe it helps obviously with him being the go-to guy, but and I know again, I know who you're playing, but I liked seeing Dotson get 94 yards in that game. I mean,
Yeah,
trading for him, maybe if if Brown or Smith are struggling, can't get open, maybe that's a sign Dotson can get going early, or get going throughout the game, not necessarily early. But I did like to see. I like seeing that. I like seeing him get a couple deep balls there, and that's why you traded for him. And maybe he's just there in case you need him to step up it. But it was cool seeing him actually get some good valuable playing time there and. You activate Goddard off the IR. It looked like he was healthy. I like that strategy of having him play the first half to kind of get some reps back
yeah,
underneath him. I think that was his first game in 3 weeks. So,
yeah. I'm stretching a
um,
little bit, that kind of
yeah.
thing.
So Yeah, don't let him go the whole game. You just had him go half, and they went to him early, had 55 yards and 4 catches. So I liked seeing that as well. So, no,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty good.
yeah, and you escape the rest of the game with everybody healthy that played in the game. So, yeah, all around a good day for the Eagles, a good win there, and now you move forward.
And you put the Giants to rest in the blackout jerseys, which I gotta say, look, I have like a Kelly Green. This is my Philly Gamer logo hoodie, but like even this is like I love the Kelly Green. No disrespect to the Kelly Green in the slightest. I love the blackout jerseys, dude.
Yeah.
They look so good. They look so good, and it just kind of pains me because I almost it's almost like I want the midnight green to be replaced by Kelly green, and then you have the black as the alternate there. Because it's just, oh man, the blackout jersey, especially as like a random like chance jersey, like if they were the everyday occurrence, they would lose its luster, you know? But the blackout jersey just looks so good.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too about the Kelly Green. If I'm being honest, like I love the Kelly Green.
Really?
Don't get me wrong, but if we wore those, let's say you went 7 home games with them, and then the black for the eighth. I mean, I feel like they could lose some of the value from the Kelly Green.
You see the
See, I feel like
the
we get excited about it because we wear it twice a year.
yes, but also, I mean, Andrew, you're sitting there in a blackout jersey right now. Who I can't tell who is it. Who are you wearing?
It's Jason Kelsey.
Jason Kelsey. That's I saw the six. I was like, is it Kelsey? Um, you have, maybe more jerseys than anyone else I know, kind of a thing. So you have every type of jersey, maybe every alternate the Sixers has had in the past 10 years. But like I as someone who doesn't, like, right, like I think most people right now they have one jersey in their closet and it's a Kelly Green jersey. When you look at the stands on a regular Sunday game, they're almost all Kelly Green at this point.
But again, I agree, but that's more the fans' perspective. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, it'd be different if that team's wearing it every week. Like, yeah, anybody
Well,
can go
my
wear
point
whatever
though is
jersey
the
they want.
support is
But
is I'm not arguing your opinion. I'm saying the support is in favor of the Kelly Green because people are at that point of like, oh, I'd rather have just Kelly Green merch than actual regular
yeah,
Midnight Green. And
no,
it's funny because I don't dislike the Midnight Green. It's just like it's like when you're comparing your favorite movies, right? Just because something is in third place doesn't mean it's bad. It's just there's two things better above it.
exactly. No, I agree with you completely. Um, no, for sure. And that's the way I mean, Eagles got good uniforms. I mean, even the white. Like,
I
I like when they wore the white jersey with the black pants. I love that look.
Yeah, it's a good look. That's a good. I agree. Like I think I
Like
mean every
our
team has a
scheme's
white
good.
jersey, but I think the Eagles have a good simple jersey, and their use of colors works well. Works well with
I
this.
think that's the key word there. Is I love the simplicity of it. Like a
Mhm.
lot of teams try to overthink it and go with all these fancy designs like nowadays and stuff, and Eagles just go clean look.
Here in Pittsburgh, I know a lot of people hate the. It's the only thing different about the current Pittsburgh Steelers black jersey has the numbers are like italicized, like they're slanted, and then like the retro jersey is the same jersey, but the numbers are just bold and straight up and down.
That's
And
pretty
I
funny.
know they like hate the regular jersey, and it's so funny to me that like we're talking completely different style colors, and these guys just want the numbers to
Yeah,
stop being italicized.
that's because Pittsburgh's gotta be the same with everything. Pirates are. I mean,
That's
they
right.
all got the same colors. They
That's
can't.
right. All right, so let's talk the playoff picture. I actually had it up earlier. I'm gonna pull it up again. I'll go into NFL.com. But I had so again, the playoffs have been set. We have the Green Bay Packers going up against the Eagles. The Packers aren't a bad team. And that's definitely like something we have to establish right away. Like just because we think the Eagles are going to win, I'm assuming Andrew thinks it. I have no reason to believe he doesn't. But just because I think the Eagles are going to win, like it doesn't mean the Packers are a bad team, but I just don't think they have anything special that shows they're better than the Eagles. I think the Eagles are unquestionably the second best team in the NFC, if not the best. And it's I think they can play better than the Lions. I just don't know if they are better than the Lions. I absolutely think the Eagles are better than the Packers, and I'm not as worried as I feel like I should be because I'm assuming we're gonna make it to the divisional round, and I hate that.
The Packers to me match up well with the Eagles, and that's the little concerning part to me is how well they can do things just like the Eagles. So it's going to come down to obviously, I mean, it without being said, it comes down to who can control the game in the sense of the pace, because they got a very good running back in Josh Jacobs that ran for over 1,000 yards. I mean, no 2,000 like Saquon, but they got a running back that can control the game. So if hypothetically, they get out and score, they jump out and get let's just say a 7-3 lead, right? And now they dictate the pace and control the game through their run game, and that's where it's going to come down to the Eagles defense to stop the run, which don't get me wrong, Eagles defense has been fantastic at that all year. You got to beat up their line and get to Jacobs and force the ball into Jordan Love's hand. But that's the part that concerns me, and we've seen it throughout this year, is if you get off to too slow of a start, you're going to start having to play into the Packers' hand of letting them control it, where you need to get out there and have Barkley and your run game control the game. Like we've seen late in the game when the Eagles had the 10-minute drive to kill the Steelers, when they had the 8-minute drive to ice other games. So that's what it's going to come down to. And that's what worries me a little bit is the Packers go through their run game, and then they have a solid defense, mid-tier defense there that can hold their own as well. So that's what it's going to come down to me is who can get off that quick start, get the first score, and then control the game from there. And I think with that being said, it's going to help the Eagles are home. I think overall we have the better quarterback. Both are going to come in a little banged up. Obviously, Hurts still in concussion protocol. Jordan Love got hurt last game with an elbow. And they're playing it off like it's nothing. But I think both coaches are playing mind games right now in that sense.
Of course. And that's Sirianni's great at that
Yeah,
at this point, That's his bread and butter, it feels like. And the only other thing, I mean, for the Packers side of things, we talk about a team that's only has what, 6 losses, not bad at all, 11 wins. Um, it's just I think it's worth noting that the teams they lost to are all high winning teams. It's the Eagles, it's the Lions, it's the Vikings, and I just shit talked on the Vikings for a little bit earlier. Like I think it's the Packers are a good team. They're not a great team, and I think they have flaws that the Eagles can exploit, as you pointed out, with the run defense being a big part of that. I think the injuries, being that's Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts, that is major. I think it's the Jordan Love is absolutely going to play. There's no doubt in my mind, like nothing like that. Like no conspiracy theories there. However, what I will say is if his throwing hand is hurt, or his arm is hurt, it's going to affect him. So it's a matter of can the defense take advantage of an injured quarterback situation like they did against San Francisco years ago, um, and how, can they play smart? Jalen Hurts worries me way more than the actual opponent being the Green Bay Packers. It's the Jalen Hurts thing, which I'm excited to talk to you about. We were texting a little bit about it, but we didn't really talk about it. But like Jalen Hurts still in concussion protocol. He will be at this point until Wednesday, I believe, is when they have practice, and he can't clear it before practice. He has to show up to practice. So over the next 3 days, which obviously this video will go out on Friday, hopefully, but this video will go out on Friday, and by then we'll probably know whether or not he clears. However, being that we're recording on Monday, he should show up for practice on Wednesday, and that's when they should clear him. Uh, it's just a matter of the fact that we haven't had that clearing happen yet. Now, I said it before, I believe, but there was no rush to get him in against the Giants. There was no rush to clear concussion protocol. The issue is, I believe someone mentioned in our that clearing concussion protocol has nothing to do with the NFL or the Eagles. It's its own thing. So there is no mind games in that sense. So if he could have cleared concussion protocol last week, he would have, regardless of him playing. Is that correct?
So you can't once you clear it, you're open to the media. And right now, when he hasn't, he isn't. And I think that's the point is they don't want him talking to the media. They don't want anything getting out. So I think last week, they were just being safe. I think the telling part for me last week, without him clearing concussion protocol, is in the game against the Cowboys, he didn't show up to the game. They just kept him home. They didn't have him go to the field. They didn't go through walkthrough. They just avoided the noise of the link and everything in general. Now, I don't think he was on the field for the game, but he showed up for the Giants game. He went through the walkthrough on the field. So he did all that, which to me is a great sign. That means he's feeling enough where the light doesn't bother him, the noise doesn't bother him. Because I mean, while obviously the fans aren't there yet, while during walkthrough, they're playing music and stuff, which isn't the quietest thing. So to me, that is a great telling sign. And obviously, yeah, we don't they don't practice today, so we won't know anything. I think Adam Schefter tweeted it. He's still in concussion protocol, but I expected him to be today. So when they start minor stuff tomorrow, that would be the interesting report there tomorrow. Then the first official injury report comes out Wednesday, like you said. So we'll really get to know Wednesday. But so yeah, nothing has been out of the ordinary for me at least. I'm not surprised he's still in protocol, but the big positive sign for me is that he went through walkthrough on Sunday. That means he was at the game and at the
So
field.
you're taking that as a good thing, like because my
Yes.
my concern was that it's more, even though the Eagles don't want him talking to the media, of course, it's a medical, as it should be in my opinion, but it's a medical situation first. So if he could clear it, he would have cleared it, regardless of Eagles' plans.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's an interesting point. I get that side of it. And I don't know how all that works, but I mean to me, if he was able to show up to the field, he had to clear at least part of it. So I know they have, I think it's a 5 step process. So when he's not out of protocol, that means he might have passed for the 5 steps. And he just failed whatever the fifth step is. I don't know what
Sure, sure.
each step is. So, but for him to be back at the facility, that means he's at least to me past step 2 or 3, at least for
And
me.
he's a tough son of a bitch. Like he's trying to get out there. Like
Wait, he gave the thumbs up after the hit.
but it's one of those things too where he wants to play. He wants to play. He wants to get out there, but it's a serious thing. Concussions are a serious issue in the NFL, and you gotta take it slow. I guess the question becomes, Andrew, is God forbid, but let's go worst case scenario, and Hertz doesn't play this coming Sunday. Are you starting Pickett or McKee?
I know a lot of people aren't going to like this because everyone's behind the McKee hype, but I'm going to pick it. He's got the experience. He did nothing wrong
I
in the
agree.
game. In the game he played, he went out and threw the ball well. He can manage the game. Again, it's nothing against Tanner McKee. He looked good on Sunday, but you got to remember his opponent. It was the Giants in the end.
Yeah.
They weren't playing all their guys. I mean, let's be real. You saw some of those play calls. They were trying to lose, keep that fourth pick. Again, I think Kenny Pickett's been around for a while, for a handful of years now. He's played up in Pittsburgh, had loud environments as well. So I still lean Kenny Pickett, and you go from there. And let's be real, if that was the case, and whoever starts, all you got to do is manage the game. Don't turn the ball over. Don't make any stupid throws. Because if that is the case, Barkley's getting the ball 30 to 35 times.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so you gotta just be smart at that point. And to me, you gotta go with the guy that's been around for longer. Um, and you go from there.
I agree. I think you do go with Pickett, and to be quite frank, not only does he have NFL experience, he was the starting quarterback of the Steelers. Look, at the end of the day, it's not our decision, all that whatever bullshit. But like, I trust Kenny Pickett. I don't think he's really done anything wrong. He's obviously also banged up, so maybe that plays into it. But if Pickett and McKee are both 100%, I also would go Pickett at this point. I think it's the correct decision, but I just hope it doesn't matter, and we hope Hurts plays, obviously.
Yeah, and in the end, I think he will play. I think, again, I think he will be the guy. I think he'll be healthy in the long run. But I mean, again, we'll see. We're not in the room there. We don't know the official status, but again, the key point will be Wednesday. The key telling sign will be Wednesday, and what we have to worry.
All
I'm
right,
trying
Andrew,
to.
anything else regarding the divisional or not the divisional, the wild card game?
Yeah, I think in the end, I mean, again, I think it's gonna be a good game. I
Oh,
don't
I guess
know.
we gotta do scores. I didn't even think about that.
Yes, I don't know if we want to do scores or not, but I think again, it's a very similar team. I think it's going to fall a lot on what Jordan Love's health is. I think Christian Watson being out's a key loss for the Packers as well. He tore his ACL in the final week of the or final game of the year against the Bears last week, so that's another key loss for the Packers. So yeah, I think another telling sign too is I don't know how much everyone pays attention to lines, but it opened up as a 3.5, and it's already up to 4.5, 5.5, depending on
Which,
which one
by the
which you
way,
look
we
at.
called
But
that shit last
yes, we
week,
did.
dude. I was
Yes, we did.
rewatching while I was
It,
editing our podcast, and oh my god, fucking called that shit last week, 3.5. Just saying.
yeah, no, we did, and I think that's a good sign too. For those who look at that, and again, you only can take it one step at a time. So we'll see what happens after the Packers, and obviously you don't know your opponent till the whole week. The whole week concludes there. Um, with them doing the lowest seed stuff to the Lions. So, but I will obviously if you do win, you know you're getting another home game. So I think that's the best case is you keep controlling business at home, which this team's good at. With that being said, I don't know. We want to give predictions now or wait?
Yeah, let's do it now because I want to talk some divisional. I basically want to talk about the Bucks, but yeah, let's do predictions.
Okay. So, yeah. That being said, I think in the end, you have the better quarterback, you have the better receiving room, you have a better offensive line. Uh, Statistically, overall, I think you have the better defense, depending on spots. I think Packers might have a couple better situational players, but overall, you're the better defense. Um, I think a big thing here too with the Eagles that I didn't mention is special teams. I know it's not a giant deal, but I want to see Jake Elliott kick off.
I was gonna say, does Jake Elliott kick?
I think you got to see that. I mean, you saw the issues in Washington when the ball wasn't reaching the end zone. They had that big kick return late in the game, so you got to switch back to Elliott and let him do it. And I mean, to be frank too, is you got to worry about Elliott a little bit with all his misses this year, and it could come down to that in the playoff game, not necessarily this week, but maybe later down the road. So hopefully Elliott's ready to go and that stuff. But with all that being said, I think at home the Eagles do take care of business. Um, I think it's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be back and forth most of the game. But Eagles got. I'm going to say this is tough. I think it's going to be one score throughout. The question is, can you get a late score later? Um, I'm going to say the Eagles take care of business, and I'll say they win 27-17.
Oh, okay. We're not very far off. I wrote my score down before you picked it. Um, yeah, I think the Eagles. I this at home. I mean, this is the game we should have had week one, right? And I actually think similar to that, we'll have a similar score. I think a little lower because of how much better our defense is. A little this team is 10 times better than it was week one, and we won in week one, and that's really what it comes down to. Betting side of you, I'll tell you guys right now, take the over and take the Eagles points. I'm calling them at 31-20 is my final prediction on the score. I think the Eagles take care of business. I think this defense is borderline unstoppable, and I'm just not afraid of Green Bay. And, maybe I'll be wrong. And maybe next week we're going to have the worst. I mean, we had this conversation with the NLDS, man. We were sitting here talking about how Phillies were taking on the Mets, blah, 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 this and that. And next thing you know, they're out of the playoffs. So hate to see it, but never assume. But I'm sitting here assuming, and I think we're going to win 31-20.
Thanks for that reminder.
Well, that's what happens when I'm constantly going through our podcast trying to figure out what our analytics are. And I see that one of our best episodes is the NLDS episode, and it drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. All right. So close out the Eagles talk. I just kind of want to bring up a little point. I know. So if the Eagles win against the Green Bay and we get move on, the likely opponent is the Buccaneers beat Washington and they come to Philly. Man, Tampa Bay and Philly in the playoffs scares me. It's like the Phillies playing the Pirates in Pittsburgh. For some reason, they never play well. I just don't. And the Eagles against the Buccaneers, dude, that matchup scares me. It's they always come out of nowhere and they're just a problem.
That's funny. Buccaneers don't. I think if I'm being honest, and I could regret this in a few weeks, but I think Buccaneers scare me the least out of all the NFC teams.
Oh, dude, but like
Tampa Bay coming to Philly to me is it would not scare me as much as let's say a Minnesota team or a Washington team. I just think I don't know. It's a tough call. Don't get me wrong, but
And I mean,
the
it's different because we're playing in Philadelphia, like if they do come to us. But I'm trying to get the
I
details.
think because I'm hearing that a lot around town too, or on sports talk and stuff. But I think a lot of it has to do with what happened earlier this year in that blowout. But you got to remember, we didn't have our two receivers and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. You were down Lane Johnson. A handful of guys were out, and that was last week before the bye when everything was fixed. Last year, you were outside. You didn't have AJ Brown. Your team was going through a downward spiral already. Um, and that first year under Jalen Hurts, I mean, take that for what you want, but I mean, Jalen Hurts is way different than he was that first season. And you also got to remember who was on the other side, and that was Tom Brady. So to me, it's
That's right.
and
That's
actually
right, man.
all those
That was a
all
shock
those
right there.
all those games were also down in Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield coming to Philly. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't scare me as much as I'll tell you what. We beat that Rams team when they had some guys out. I love their receiving core and Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua. Matt Stafford's been around for a while. He scares me more than Baker does. The Vikings goes without saying. I mean, there's a reason why they were fighting for the one seed down to the final game of the season. They got arguably the best receiver in football with a very good defense there. And Washington, you've already played twice. They know our game. We know their game. So I think that would be another fight. So I'm not saying Tampa's a bad team and I overlooked them, but I'm just saying out of those other teams, Tampa would be the team I'd want in the second round, to be honest.
Well, I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. And now moving on to the 76ers. Andrew's pick of the week last week was the matchup going up against Golden State, which got spanked pretty badly that game. So Andrew, want to talk about that first?
Yeah, I mean, tough game overall. I mean, it was not a good showing from the Sixers being out there. Um, but I mean, listen, it's can't win them all. It snapped their winning streak, and then the
Right.
big one out of that stretch was the Kings. That's the one that stung. That you should never let get away from you. From last week, you were up. I think it was 9 points with 2 minutes left or something like that, and you let that one get away, and they closed on I think it was a 13-0 run or something like that. But yeah, the Warriors game, team that has been up and down this year, just like the Sixers, and you had all your guys in, was very disappointing. But uh, can't turn the ball over that much, and you can't foul. That's what killed that team. And you let those guys come out and hit threes, which you can't do, and you didn't match that. But again, just one slip in the road, can't win them all, so you just got to move on and get back at it.
And now we're recording this on the 6th. They're literally starting right now against the Phoenix Suns. Let me know what you think of that matchup. But first, I do want to talk about Embiid not playing today. I know it was due to a foot. It just says foot. um, are we worried at all? Is this just kind of like the typical like, oh, they just have to put something down so he misses a game?
The fact that it just says foot tells me yes. It's just
Okay.
they got to rest him. I mean, it's tough to play 3 games in a week when you're getting paid millions of dollars. But nah, I mean, they're going to be cautious.
Andrew with
Tonight
the
just
heat.
tonight just bugged me because no offense to the Washington Wizards, but they're absolutely terrible. That's who you play on Wednesday. If you're going to give Embiid an extra game rest, that to me that's the game to do it because you can definitely win with Adam. Tonight is a fun game against, there's so many stars in this game. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley
Yeah.
Beal
Suns
on the
are a
Suns.
stacked team. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been up and down this year, so you can still win without them. I truly believe that. But this is one with Embiid, George, and Maxey. You're going to be a favorite to win. And again, with the opponents next, again, Washington and the Pelicans, two struggling teams. You could have chose Wednesday or Friday to do it. In my opinion, against two teams you still would be favored without Embiid. I know tonight you're just a slight underdog, but still, to me, it wasn't the game to rest him. So maybe it is worse than I think it is, but we'll see on Wednesday if it plays.
I also think it's a bad look. Like in this, I mean, the whole thing's a bad look. Like there's no getting around that anymore. But it's the first game back after a road trip. Like That's the game you have your
That
star come out and you welcome him back to the city. Like that's my issue there, really.
Yeah, and we talked about it after the playoffs exit last year. That's the unfortunate thing with Joshua Harris. I mean, he clearly doesn't care about the fans and
Yeah.
what they think of him, or else he wouldn't own two rivals franchises in Philadelphia to begin with. But also the fact that yeah, he lets this happen and it's not going to change under his management. So unfortunately, it's something that we're going to have to continue to adjust to, but it doesn't make it any less frustrating because, like you said, you've been out on the West Coast, you had 6 straight games, and first off. I think I talked about this on last week's episode too. I mean, you had the big Christmas Day win over the Celtics. You win four straight. Again, obviously the Kings and Warriors a little bit of a hiccup, but then you close it out with the Nets. So you come home 4-2 on that road trip. And again, I talked about it last week. My excitement. Again, we'll see how far you can climb, but my excitement with it really looks like this team turned the corner and they are back in terms of being a fun team to watch. So you could have had the fans fully bought it. Like that's what bugs me here is you had a successful road trip, you had the big Celtics win. Like you're getting the fans back into it. I truly believe that. And again, what better way to come back home? Again, you have your full team and you beat a team full of stars on the other side. But unfortunately, it's not
Now,
the way it's going to be. Which
we gotta assume this is Embiid's decision though, right? Like he's the one
no,
that's like, I'm sitting.
I'll continue to say I don't think this is Embiid. I think it's the higher up that they want to be cautious. They want him to be um, ready for it when it comes playoff time. They truly believe they can survive this with Embiid doing this, and it's similar to what I said about the Eagles. I think the Barkley decision came from higher up. I think that was Howie and Jeffrey Lurie that hey, we don't want to risk this. We're here. I paid all that money and built a playoff Super Bowl contending team. I want them healthy. I
Which
think sure,
we didn't talk about that, but I did want to say Barkley, sporting the Who Dem Boys Eagles shirt, he looked
that
pretty
was very cool.
good. Like he looked like he was in good spirits on Sunday, and I just wanted to say I was glad to see that because there was a little bit of concern after seeing him as that press conference with the hoodie up, and he's like
Yeah.
clearly upset, clearly warranted an upset that he wasn't going to go after the record. And I agree with you. I just wanted to point out I'm glad it looks like there's no bad blood there. Whereas, I don't know. I get no reads on the Sixers right now, man. Now, mind you, I haven't watched too many games. I'm trying to catch the games Andrew's telling me to watch. Um, I just am not getting this team. It's so different from the Phillies and the Eagles. Those teams, you want to watch those guys because of how likable they are, and the Sixers have just they don't have that likability right now.
And I blame higher up for it. I truly do. That's the thing they put into everyone's head when they come out and say Embiid's not playing back to back. When I don't remember the exact number at this point, but when he sat out the first, I'm going to say what 5 to 10 games of the year. I mean, this is the situation they put themselves in. I mean, again, I will continue to say you had a very, very successful offseason after that disappointing exit last year. You went out and got Paul George. You went out and got a bunch of bench depth and Caleb Martin. And you had this. I truly believe after that exit, you had the fans starting to come back, but the way they portrayed the beginning of the season really killed the vibes. And they got to earn it back. And unfortunately, again, I think it was a step in the right direction on that road trip. And I know we talked about it last week too. I mean, how many times have you seen this team struggle on the road? And they had those big
Yeah.
wins on the road. And again, now you come back home and you kill that vibe again. Now we'll
That's
see if
exactly.
Paul George and Tyrese Maxey can get the job done tonight and keep some of that vibe. But yeah, it's very odd the way this team's run, and that's why I truly believe it's not Embiid. I believe it's higher up, just because it's year in and year out with them making weird decisions.
It is just very much it has nothing to do with the actual sport of basketball. That's the issue. And it's so like gross to say that. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah.
has nothing to do with it. Now I did want to bring up, I don't think we talked about it last week. But before the Christmas holiday, before the new year, we talked about trying to see where the Sixers were on their record. And I believe you had said by 500 by the new year. Am I correct in remembering that?
I'd say close. I don't think 500 would have been fully
You might
realistic
have
because
said
you went,
500 over the span of like 2 weeks or something like that.
yeah,
Like
yeah, because they went 9-3 in December, and you can't play much better than that. So
my point I was trying to get to was I was pretty sure they're doing well. They're not, they are improving off of that horrendous start that they had without Embiid. And there is proof in the pudding there. It's you know it's crazy. I hate to do it. And they talk about it in sports media all the time now, but like we have become such a playoff mentality of as fans, like where you just worry about the playoffs. But NBA is such a long season, man. It's such a long season that just feels like so meaningless. And then when you have such a bad start at time, like there's so much going into it that it's just a shame to sit here and say that I'm thinking about the playoffs in the sense, but like really now we just watching to make sure they can earn their playoff spot is a little bit exciting in itself. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a championship team ever after the last few years, but just
can
get
we
in
get
the
out of the second
playoffs.
round?
Try and surprise me. Just try and surprise me.
Yeah, and going off that with the standings and everything, I think right now you're sitting 11th, top 10 make that play-in tournament, six, quote unquote, top six of the quote unquote playoffs, which are currently held the sixth spot by Miami Heat, which are 3 games behind, but they also have 2 games in hand, so you have 2 games there that you can gain on it being extra games. But the Heat seem like a mess. Jimmy Butler's trying to force his way out, so I fully expect them to drop. So six is very realistic. Actually, the 5 seed's only 3 games out too. The 5 spot's 13. And then the Orlando Magic just had two of their best players get hurt. So they're the 4 spot. So they're gonna fall a little bit too, possibly. So I think the 4 is a very realistic destination, and you get that home court in that opening round. But obviously, you got to take it game by game here. But I fully expect this team to still be playing postseason basketball. Like you said, it's gonna be interesting to watch throughout the road down stretch. But to me, the biggest thing, the biggest first goal before you get there should be to get to that 6 spot and out of the playing game, and then you get to your next goal. But that's the first goal is reach that 6 spot for me.
But I don't think we've really talked about McCain, who is the rookie that is just kind of outshining this season. And I just kind of wanted to give you a chance to talk on McCain and his performance this year.
Yeah, it's a shame. He he was off to a great start, heavy rookie of the year favorite before his injury. And I think last I read is he's expected to be out until at least April, if not the whole year. So that was devastating for the Sixers in itself. But I mean, couldn't have asked for a kind of similar Maxi being picked low 20s like that and then outshining everybody and surprising everybody. I mean, nobody expect Maxi to take off like that, and then McCain takes off like that, carry the Sixers some wins there in the early going, but hopefully he's able to get back toward the end of the year for the playoffs, if not fully healthy after next year. I want to say it was meniscus or ACL, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I can't find exactly what it is, but I do have information that he does require surgery for it. I'm assuming it already happened at this point. This is an old article. Um, but yeah, I would assume he already had the surgery and it's hopefully healing, but I don't have that
But
information
it's a
now.
shame because
Yeah.
yeah, he was going to be the rookie of the year favorite. I mean, obviously we had to keep it up throughout the year, but I mean, last rookie of the year, I think for the Sixers, it's been a while, so yeah, it would
Torn
have been fun to.
meniscus. Torn meniscus.
Okay,
Sorry.
so it would have been fun to see. And it goes to show you the young guys Philadelphia has as a whole. I think I might have said this over text before, but when he was out there, you had a chance for all 4 rookie of the years this year, which would have been cool to see if you were able to get it done. And McCain, Eagles, obviously Quinyon Mitchell. We'll see if he can get defensive rookie of the year this year. Flyers, Mate Michkov playing out great. Chance at the NHL rookie of the year, and then the Phillies with Andrew Painter. We'll see if he gets called when he gets called up, but he'll have a chance at the MLB rookie of the year. So Philly's got a good young core.
I will say, yes, first of all, very, very correct. But I will say I'm reading this report on NBA.com or no, CBS Sports, not NBA. And he is still the favorite, even though he is out indefinitely, apparently, just due to the performance he did. He is still the favorite for Rookie of the Year. So, curious to how much that can change. There's obviously other rookies that are listed here for follow up, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that he played so exceptionally well that even with a torn meniscus and being out, he's the favorite right now.
That's pretty funny to see that they wouldn't adjust that.
Yeah.
Um, because
It, it does. The title does say the Rookie of the Year door opens due to McCain injuries. So
well,
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you he's still gonna win it, but I'm just saying it's not impossible. I
well,
guess.
just because I mean, you remember the rule last year they came out with where you have to play 65 games, which he won't get. So eventually, once he's officially out of that 65 game limit, he'll be automatically eliminated from it, as Embiid was last year from the MVP.
Oh, see,
Um,
I must have read that wrong.
unless
I
I
thought I
miss
read it wasn't implemented yet, so it wasn't an
maybe
issue.
it's not for Rookie of the Year. Maybe it's just an MVP thing. Yeah. Which yeah, I could be wrong there. But I know it definitely is for
I certainly
MVP.
should not be the one claiming NBA knowledge.
So
So,
I know that's why Embiid got kicked out of it last year, and then he can't make the All NBA team and stuff like that. But that's an interesting rule in itself.
all right, Andrew. Anything else on the Sixers before we jump over to Flyers? Oh,
You
you
want
have
my
to give your pick.
yeah, as I say, my game of the week.
I give you one job and I messed it up.
I was about to say it. There's two I had circled, and the tough part is I don't know which one because they're back to back. So and they're both home. So I want to pick the one that Embiid's going to play, but we won't know that till next week.
Okay.
But you have a very fun Oklahoma City Thunder team coming in, who are number one out in the Western Conference. They're sitting at 30-5 as we record this, and then you get that's January 14th, Tuesday, and then you get the New York Knicks Wednesday, January 15th, which is obviously a playoff rematch from last year. Obviously Philly, New York, that goes without saying. So give me the game to watch there. Let's go the number one team out west. I'm gonna hope Embiid plays that first of the two back-to-back games. And you get a fun Oklahoma City very young Oklahoma City Thunder team going out to Philadelphia. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he was second in MVP voting last year, a heavy favorite this year. Um, yeah, I think it's gonna be fun to get the number one team out west in your building. Hopefully Embiid plays that game. I'll make that the game to watch next week.
Oh my God, these tickets are so cheap. I have them listed here. I would see, especially we're talking higher ups making decisions that are, business based. I see Embiid playing against the Knicks for two reasons. One, the playoff rematch, but also I think because they're the worst team, you're more likely to win against them. Play your starter there, like clearly to like what we just
No,
talked about with the Suns tonight, right? Like they're not playing him on it again. It's kind of the I hate to say it, but it's the smart decision. You're playing him when you can guarantee wins, which you just need to stack wins for the like that's the goal. So for your matchups, which by the way, we'll say there's two games. It's the Oklahoma City game should be fun, and also the New York Knicks should be fun. I'm gonna guess Embiid plays in the next one.
no, I mean very well. He very well might. And it'll be interesting to see, and hopefully maybe they surprise us and he plays both.
No, no. I mean, they're back to back. Absolutely not. Uh, and of course, let's go into our Broad Street Bullies. Philadelphia Flyers currently sitting at 17, 18, and 5, sixth in the Metro. Oh, I haven't watched a recent game. I'm not gonna lie to you folks, but stats say that this is still the fun season that it's meant to be.
Yeah, definitely some growing pains. I mean, that's what you're gonna get with a young team trying to rebuild like that and fight for a playoff spot. You said two points out, so basically one game for the final playoff spot behind the Penguins. Um,
It'd be pretty great to steal that from them.
it would be great. Like I said, you have a fun young core starting with Mishkov, but then after that, you just got issues all over on the defensive end and a goalie carousel that you're rotating between three guys, and it's just it's been a mess there on the defensive end. It's really cost you games here over the last probably 2.5 to 3 weeks or so. I think 2 weeks ago when we did record, I think we were in a playoff spot. So you kind of fell off there, and a lot of it to me is defense. You're scoring pretty good. You look at last night's game against the Maple Leafs. You had a 2-1 lead before you gave up a later goal, and then eventually losing that in overtime after missing a few chances. And then you get the rematch on Tuesday. They're coming to Philly, and you get to play them. So we'll see what happens there. But no, yeah, it's a fun young core. Again, it's just that rebuild. It's a typical rebuilding year. You go through your fun ups, and then you also have your downs. So you're sitting one game under 500 at 17, 18, and 5. So
But
my goal is if you can just steal that final playoff spot and get some playoff experience.
I mean, that would be huge. And not only like, I mean, I don't. When was the last time Flyers even made the playoffs?
I want to say it's 2024-25 season. So I want to say it's 3 years. So I want to say it's 21-22
So
season.
I mean, you talk about how young this team is. Like, it's a completely different team that needs that playoff experience. So that would be huge to get them there for that. Um, yeah, I would love to see it. I really want to try and get into watching a few. Hopefully, of course, I always try to see them when they're in town over here.
Just looked it up. I was a year off. Our last year in the playoffs would have been 2019-20 season. So even a year farther than I thought.
Oh, so yeah, I again just kind of more of a reason to try and get this team in the playoffs. And the only other thing I was gonna say, like talking about a little bit of Philly drama here, but like it's amazing to see after the Flyers didn't sell the team but relinquished control, like this team is easily improving, right? It's a slow burn, but you can see that improvement as opposed to what's going on with the Sixers right now.
Oh, for sure. And you're gonna have good draft capital next year too. In terms of deadline, I don't think you'll move any of that. I think you'll stay where you are. And you'll keep that capital and you got a young core coming up from last year's draft high pick too. So um and Mitch Koff came over a year early, so he gets his NHL experience now. So yeah, I think overall this team's in a really good spot and it's yeah, just getting through those growing pains. And again, hopefully we can sneak in, but um yeah, as far as this week, if you want a game for them, Thursday, well, you'll be occupied with Penn State Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday I will be watching Penn State. We'll close this out with that. Penn State, Penn State. Thursday. This will be published after, but Thursday Penn State plays Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl for the semifinals of the college football playoffs. And I just want to say, fuck you, Notre Dame. All right, thank you everyone for listening to Philly Sports Now, a Philly fan podcast and a Penn State podcast. My name is Zach. With me is Andrew. You can find us on social media and you can subscribe on YouTube at the Philly Gamer. Uh, but yeah, we will have a new episode every Friday, especially going forward with the playoffs. New Year is back. We are back. And as always, go Birds. Good night.
Go!